Bernard Riley, how are you doing?
I am doing wonderful. Glad to be here. Everybody don't need to know all of this behind the scenes business, but this was supposed to happen sooner. So I want to publicly apologize while it's recording. I let Dr. Thunder down. I'm not even going to explain what happened, but this is the makeup day. Let's get it right. So I'm glad to be here.
No worries, man. I totally understand. You're burning it up. I mean, since the last time you were on Conversations with Dr. Thunder, your channel continues to grow. You upgraded your studio, which I love to see that. There's a lot of folks in the space that they never really upgrade. They can still be doing pretty good numbers, but they never really upgrade. I like to see when brothers make those upgrades.
Yeah.
So I always, man, I'm on your channel a lot. I do a lot of ninja watching.
Nah.
But I always enjoy your topics. You've really grown into the moderator thing. You allow people to talk. You let them rock, as it were. But you always kind of step in right at the right point. And I think it's important for black men to have a place where they can talk and they can get loud and it can be kind of rowdy and stuff like that. And it seems like you have a good understanding of that, but then also have a good balance with that and just stuff obviously devolving into, shenanigans.
Yeah.
I was watching a clip that you uploaded earlier today. It's a Simpsons Forcer came in and thought he was going to convince folks. He was asking them why they think women have power and all this kind of stuff. So let me ask you, what caused you to clip that? What about that in particular was clippable and you just had to clip it and get it up?
Well, two things. The first part, the easy part, is that people like a good debate, and a good back and forth debate where views and ideals are being challenged is always good. This space where us men, we come together and we talk and we argue, and if you don't got good debate skills, you typically won't survive in this space if you can hold your own in an argument. And so that's a big part of what we do. That's a big part of what my show was about. Secondly, it was interesting. He got on there, he came with it, he challenged the ideas. I edited some of it out because there were some parts where Edward Anderson was going on a rant and was even cussing a little too much for a pre-record, because you want the pre-records to be clean. So I had to edit out Ed, so I just kind of kept it to mostly just what Clarence Jr., his name is, kept it mostly to what Clarence was saying and versus what I was saying. I tried to edit it just like that. And I thought it was a good back and forth. I thought he gave some somewhat respectable pushback, but some of it was disingenuous. And I was trying to help him. That was part of the reason, I was trying to help him and say, look,
trying to help him.
If you're just saying, hey, brothers, we need to make better choices. We need to, keep our guard up, protect ourselves at all times out there. He get no pushback from me, but he started with the premise that these women have no power, and that was predicated on, the family court and all of that. Like, they have no power in family court, and we know that it's slanted and biased towards them. They got all the power in family court. Like, what you talking about? So I tried to keep taking it back there. And if he could have just acknowledged that, yes, it's slanted in their favor, which I think he kind of did at the end, but then he went on a whole nother rabbit hole of so that's one reason why I did it, because it was just interesting. The second part is that what get lost in my 3-hour live streams is my opinion on some things, because yes, I'll start the show out and and I may either just do a monologue, or I may do a reaction video to something, or I may interview somebody. if you don't necessarily catch my monologue or reaction aspect of it, when I'm reacting to something that somebody else did, if you don't exactly catch that, but you come on later in the show, which most people do, because that's how live streams work. You may, if, for example, with my channel, in the first hour, it may, the first hour, who knows how many views it's going to be. A good show, it may hit 200 in the first hour, but the longer I'm on, the more views I'll get. So by the third hour, especially if I got a live entertaining panel and people fighting back and forth, that's when it could very well hit 500 views, which it does from time to time. So I'll get over 500 views. But what gets lost in that,
and when you say 500 views, you mean 500 live viewers.
500 live views. But what gets lost in that is, sometimes what gets lost in that is my opinion on things, because I'm moderating a panel and I'm just jumping in. If somebody says something completely ridiculous, I'll get in there and I'll get deep into the debate, and so people will hear my perspective then. But what I want to start doing with the pre-recorded videos, those moments where I insert myself firmly into the debate and draw a hard stance on something, I want to start clipping those more and putting those out there in a pre-recorded format and make a playlist of them, because I want it seems as if a lot of people don't know where I stand on certain things. So I'm just going to build a video library of shorter videos of me giving where I stand on certain issues. Now, sometimes I can do that with just an original pre-recorded video, but sometimes it happens best with a clip from the live stream. So that was a big part of the reason why I chose it, because that's a foundational part of my position when it comes to the whole family court thing, that yes, that we need to protect ourselves at all times. We need to make sure that we're making good choices. But as I said in the video, when it comes to that family court, all bets are off. If you find yourself in family court, it almost don't matter how good you did in choosing that woman. If the relationship goes south, the marriage goes south, you don't know what kind of monster is going to come out in family court. So that's
you made that.
Yeah,
you made that. You made that point well, and the person that you get when you're in a relationship and they're still trying, and they're still sort of, because they want to still be cordial, they kind of don't say everything they actually think, or they don't allow themselves to think certain things or to entertain certain dark thoughts or whatever it is. That's the person you get when you're in the relationship. But when the relationship is over, there's no reason for them to mute those thoughts, ideas, whatever it is. And so you don't know what you're going to get. You really have no idea.
Yeah, true.
One thing that he was saying that was, it was along the lines of, it was total cap. Maybe it wasn't cap, actually. Maybe he actually does believe this, but just this idea that, men can control if the woman is going to flip out or not. Because that's what he's implying. If he's saying that if you choose better, then this stuff doesn't happen. Because he kept trying to back it up to say, but who chose the women? Mm-hmm. But if you're saying that certain kinds of women are not the kind of women that you should be choosing, okay, then don't choose those kind of women. But the thing is that sometimes women change into that woman. Mm-hmm. They're giving you a certain look. They're giving you their sort of best look. So you don't know if they're going to turn into this other woman.
Well, this is how I explained that, and I sort of explained it this way. Oddly enough, me and Obsidian had somewhat of a debate in the comment section about this, and he tried to point out that we say all the time that women have said that, oh, we don't know what we're going.
Thank you so much for watching my video so far. If you'd like to support, there are several ways to do so below. Also, likes are free. Please comment, share, and subscribe. Now back to the video.
That, oh, we don't know what we're going to get. These guys, they changed. This guy that turned into this horrible person, and then, you know, a lot of times we would say, well, it's your fault, you picked him, you know, and we don't buy it when she says, oh, well, he flipped into that person, even though, you know, he showed up with a marching band behind him twirling red flags. Like, you could tell what this guy was. And Obsidian argued that we're essentially doing the same thing. And what I countered with is that, yes, if you keep running into problems like a woman being disrespectful, or a woman, let's say, if you keep running into those type of problems, like a woman throwing a brick through your window, scratching up your car, slashing your tires, being just loud and disrespectful in public. Okay, if you're running into those kind of problems, yes, you need to choose better women. I will grant that all day.
Right. Because you're choosing the same woman over and over. If that stuff keeps happening, that means that you're choosing the kind of women that's going to be the common thing. Yep.
Right. And those women kind of have telltale signs where any thinking man knows right off the bat that those type of women wear it on their sleeves who they are, just like the proverbial, even though I don't like to even use the term no more, but you know, the Pookie and Ray Ray. It's the women complain about certain dysfunctional actions and behaviors that they have. Reality is a lot of those guys wear it on their sleeve, what they're about, and there's things about them that a particular woman may like. But when it goes south, that she gets diminishing returns on that investment, then she try to say she don't know. I do want to make sure that men aren't doing that too. That's why I made it very specific that if you're having those type of problems that I described, then yes, you do need to choose better women. But the point that I made is when you get in family court, divorce court, all bets are off. All bets are off. You know, you don't know what you're going to get when that happens. But when that happens, when you get in family court, are men in a equal situation, advantage situation, or disadvantage situation? That's an easy, obvious answer to go back to Clarence Jr.'s original question. What power do they have? That's the power. They're at advantage or at disadvantage in a family court. So that part for me was just a very simple open shut case.
Yeah, it's like he didn't want to acknowledge the veracity of the point. I mean, the point, making the point that here's the power, the family court system. Look at the percentage of you know, who gets custody. You know, look at the child support you know, situation. Look at alimony. Look at, even if the woman is the one that splits it up, she's the one that wants to leave. She cheated. She won't let you see her kids. She gets the house. You get to stay in your car. Look at this stuff. This stuff is happening. This stuff is not just people making this stuff up. This stuff is happening with regularity. And to not even acknowledge that as a reality, it's like, so wait a minute. You're going to sidestep that big issue. That's a pretty big issue to try to avoid. It just obviously makes it look like he's just a simp enforcer. Sorry. He's just a simp enforcer. Shout out
you
to
had
Mr.
to ring.
Palmer.
Yeah, you had to ring it on him. Yeah. No, I mean, seriously. Yeah. It's true. Gotta call it. It is what it is. It is what it is, and that's what's happening there.
So let me ask you this question, and you can go. This is going to seem like a sort of abstract question, but you know, you can go any way you want to. What's wrong with your people?
Who?
I said, what's wrong with your people?
With my people? Oh my goodness! Oh. Man, that is too broad. Oh, man, I'm sitting there trying to figure out what do I want to do with that question. Man, it's
Well,
Everything. Well, no, I'll throw out this answer.
Sure.
It seems as if almost everything, it makes me upset that when you look at anything, whether it's academic achievement or heart failure, Black people are bringing up the rear, or leading, or in front. If it's bad, we're in front. If it's something good, we're in back. So it's a tough one, man. So I like to say a lot of the problems are cultural. On my channel, we get deep into the controversial area of IQ, race and IQ, and how controversial that is. I've done a lot of streams on, I talked about how things simple as spanking your kids when they're really young is evidence. It shows that could lower an IQ by 5 points. Not reading to them regularly at night, that could, that has a long-term effect on it. Not growing up in a 2-parent household has a negative effect on it. There's a few different things. Not breastfeeding. There's a number of things that can just that I think can bump up IQ, and I think smarter people make better decisions. Smarter people, with higher IQs tend to be more healthier, tend to be less likely to commit crimes. And it's so many things so it's almost like we as a people got to tighten up so much stuff, and we can't make any mistakes in the nurture, let alone, I mean, I don't even get into the thing about how society views Black people and all of that stuff. I don't even go that route. There's so much stuff we need to take care of at home before we can get all concerned about, well, they view us this way and they treat us this way and that way. How do we treat each other inside the household? Like that's already a big enough problem. Like, so yeah. So what's wrong with my people? Yeah, everything.
Yeah, something about the Black Manosphere. There's a lot of kind of self-reliance talk.
Yep.
Stop blaming somebody else for issues that you caused. Get yourself, in shape, save your money, do the things that you can do. If you broke, get a job. If you're not making as much money as you want to make, get another job. Concurrent jobs. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that kind of talk, and to part of what you were saying earlier, there's a lot of sort of pointing at ourselves, men, and saying, do better, pick better. If there's a certain pattern that is obvious, if you keep choosing women that have certain traits. I liked one of the sort of caricatures that you painted as to sort of present to this gentleman's argument. You said, if if the woman has fire engine red hair twerking in the club, and that's the way that you get that, okay, I can see that we have a challenge picking, but obviously it's more than just that.
Right.
I know that in every situation. I mean, I'm in my second marriage. My first marriage, I knew I shouldn't have married her. I knew it.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a lot of signs, a lot of signals, but I did it anyway. And even if we can get brothers to pay closer attention to what those signals are, because sometimes there's certain strong forces, especially when you're young, that will cause you to shut down your reasoning faculties. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. When you're young, put it like this. I'll speak personally on this one. when I got married at 19, the things that were problematic, regarding my ex-wife, and granted, we were young people, but that aside, the things that were problematic, you would have to more or less be red pill to really truly notice it, to truly catch it, to truly be alert on it. And when it comes to those type of things, I give guys some grace in that regard if they were genuinely trying to do the right thing and things just didn't work out. I was me and my woman was actually just talking about this. It was actually when I was she was there when I was doing the editing for my video, and we ended up having a conversation about it. And I said, I'm not gonna begrudge a woman or beat up on her or say that she made a bad decision, if she got with the guy and everything, genuinely seemed a-okay. He came in checking the boxes, no red flags, and then they got together, and then it probably was some very small things that she overlooked, that she didn't really catch, how much of a anger, like he probably, that how much of a temper, or he probably needed a little anger management. Some guys can be, can probably be decent human beings, but they just got kind of a temper that you really don't see till you live with them for a while. And then so two people, if he checked every other box in his life, but that was just something that she just didn't see, they got together, and let's just say after 3 years in, they got a kid, and he developed a drinking problem, and then that amplified the little temper that she knew he had, but it wasn't a problem. But then all that came together and it turned into abuse, and then she realized that she was stuck there with a baby and an abusive guy, and she had to make a tough decision. I'm not going to look at that woman and say it's your fault you picked him. I'm not.
Right.
I'm not, because that was a situation where she was moving correctly. She was trying to do the right thing, and the guy was trying to do the right thing too. It was just something about him that grew and manifested. Situations like that, I'm not going to criticize a woman too bad for that one, because that's life. Like, we can't lose sight of the fact that life happens, mistakes happens. You can look back at your first marriage and you could say that, yeah, with the mind I got now, I would not have made that choice. But at the time, I mean, I don't know the exact situation, based off the data you had to work with, it probably wasn't a horrible choice. I know mine, based off the limited information I had and how I viewed women back then, because I thought most women were genuinely good women. You just had to show up and be a good man and treat them right, and they'll respond in kind. That's called being blue pill. That's called, shout out to Donovan Sharp, that's called thinking women are made of sugar and spice and everything nice. That's literally what that is. And so yes, we can make mistakes and pick the wrong woman early on when it comes to something like that. And there's a female equivalent to that as well, where they could make a mistake. That's why when somebody say, hey, it was a 10-year relationship or a 10-year marriage, and things just fell apart, it just didn't work out. I don't beat people up for that, because I would have to beat myself up for that one.
Yeah. Now, and I will say, in my situation, even the younger, less aware me knew that there was issues, that it wasn't a good choice. But also a certain sort of romantic sort of part of me, the one that wants to rescue, the ones that wants to protect, and all of that kind of stuff. There's aspects of that which are actually positive characteristics. It's just not good if it's used on the wrong person, because it causes you to take a lot of abuse. You're willing to take a lot of mistreatment.
But hold on, let me ask you. But going in, did you think that this woman? I mean, this is where my mind was at when I was, was considered blue pill. did you think, or were you thinking that, well, this woman, yes, there's those problems there, but hey, if I just show up as a good man and I treat her right and I do the right thing, she's a woman. Most women are good women, and she's gonna.
That's pretty much exactly what.
Yeah, we literally think that's when we show up ignorant and gullible and very, very green about this whole thing. We actually show up thinking that if we treat her right, she's going to reciprocate. If we're good to her, she'd be good to us. Or as they say, if you treat her like a queen, she'll treat you like a king. That's literally that blue pill in you, where you think that all you got to do is just be a good man to this woman, and she's going to be a good woman to you. And that's what women still actually try to float. They still float that argument out there. If you listen to women talk, they say, oh, if a woman is not acting right, it's because you're not doing something right. Because the woman, they're gonna reciprocate whatever you do. It's in their nature to do that. But no, but we learned that that's not true. That the picking and vetting process is very important.
So let me ask you this about your current woman.
Uh-oh.
And you said, but you said that she was you were talking as you were doing the editing to that clip we've been talking about, and it started a certain kind of conversation. So my question to you is, how much of your content does she watch, and how sort of are you able to keep your sort of conversations about the content pretty constructive? Does it seem like she takes issues with certain things and that's a problem, or does it seem like she pretty much it's not a deal, or does she just not watch?
Actually, right now, she really doesn't watch it. She don't watch it at all at this point. There was a time earlier on. There was a time earlier on when she did, because me and her, we were together already before I contrary to Pops, what I heard a few people saying, that I don't even want to get into what people in this space say. Bernard is changing up his talking points now that he got a woman. No, I'm with the same woman that I was before I started my YouTube channel. Right. So that's the thing. Yeah. So yeah, I'm with the same. She was there from the very start. So when I first started, she used to watch and used to hang out, mostly in the clouds, and she was just being supportive, at the time when it first started. But once it got rolling, and then she was moderating, getting rid of stuff that bad comments that could hurt the channel or whatever. She was just helping out in any way that she could when I first started. I was about to give away something that I'm not going to give away, but but no, she was helping out. She was helping out however she could. But once it got growing, once it got rolling, she didn't really I didn't really need that much. I mean, there's always something that she could do, but overall it was just more like, hey, her man was starting this little project, and she was just happy to be there and support. But once it got going, it was like, hey, she didn't have to be there, because she didn't like some of the chat room comments. Some of the chat room comments she overall didn't care for. But okay. So far as the other parts of your question, like, well, no, she does not. She does not currently listen. When I make a pre-recorded video, I tell her to watch that, hit the like button, and watch it from beginning to end, because it helps the algorithm. But other than that, other than like a short 12-minute pre-record, she really don't watch. So as far as what's going on in the space, she really don't keep up with it. There's a few people, like, she listens to Jason Black every now and then. He's not really in the space, but that's the only Manosphere adjacent thing that she actually listens to. I would say probably she listens to some Jason Black, but I can't think of anybody else that she listens to. So she's not even, her head's not in the game with none of this stuff. As far as the discussions, the things we talk about, she has her take on it, but I don't care to talk about it that much with her. Every now and then she would do this and I like it. She may float out a good counter argument that helps me sharpen my tools, because she has a lot of debate in her. She likes to actually debate, but I hate it. Don't, because I don't like, she has a natural tendency to play devil's advocate. No matter what happens, it could be something in a movie or a TV show when I will say, well, that was stupid. Why would he do A, B, C, and D? And then she has a natural inclination to say, because she's real smart. So she has a natural inclination to say, well, maybe, and then she'll come up with a scenario where, okay, that could possibly work. I can see, but, and then I'll challenge her, wait, do you really think that though? And she'd be like, no, I was I was like, so you just devils. So we just went 20 minutes debating this, and you don't even believe what you're debating. You just devil's advocating me like that. I actually hate that. and I've told her, like, hey, you got to stop doing that shit. Shoot, I mean, edit that. Yeah, I'll say that sentence over so you can just do the editing. So I told her that.
No, it's fine.
I told her, you got to stop doing that stuff. I personally don't like that. So she does have a tendency to devil's advocate some things, but the beauty of it is that she's devil's advocated me on some of the Manosphere talking points or something that I've said, and she's thrown out a counter argument, and I was like, that's actually a good one. But then I'll throw something back at her, and so we'll almost like go back and forth as just an intellectual exercise, and that's good because it will sharpen my tools. Because she's smart, and sometimes she can, sometimes she'll come up with something that I need to consider. And so when she come up with something I need to consider, that's a good counter to my point, then okay, then I need to think further and can counter that. So my arguments have gotten sharper as a result of that. But overall, she generally stays out of it and doesn't get in it. No more or less to the degree that I, bring her in it if I'm just casually talking about, a conversation that I had on the air. But one interesting thing, and I don't know if you know this, me and her, we started, like, she's on my Patreon where we actually sit down and have some conversations on my Patreon. I need to upload another one because we sat down and talked for an hour the last time. And I, put 15-minute segments of it. I think I got 3 of them up there. So I probably need to drop another segment of the conversation on my Patreon real soon, or we just need to have another conversation. But the things that we talk about on there, they are, we don't talk about Manosphere stuff. Like who, I mean, I got to say it bold and blunt. Who cares what she thinks about what's going on in the Manosphere? Like, who cares? I barely care. So I don't suspect that anybody else cares her opinion about what happened on Fresh and Fit's show. Who cares? So we ain't sitting there talking about that. We're not talking about all the trending stories and trending news and what's happening in the Manosphere. The things that we talk about, we really only just talk about us. That's only she only speaks on my Patreon. The only thing she's allowed to really talk about is me or us. To do me and her. And so we just sit there and we talk about that. And that's fun. That's her. That's her, that's essentially her relationship with my content, the stuff we do on Patreon that we may do a little more consistently. I'm trying to grow my Patreon, but I suck at it because, I do my live show, then I'm like done after that. I may do some editing for a pre-recorded video. I may record an original pre-recorded video, but overall it's like to make some Patreon only original content, that's like extra work that I need to put in so I can grow my Patreon. So that's kind of what me and her are doing. We just basically talk about our relationship on the Patreon. So that's another thing that we do. But overall, some of the stuff that some people say in the Manosphere, not necessarily what I say. Some of the stuff that people say in the Manosphere, it can kind of annoy her, but I mean, I really don't care, and me and her don't got to talk about it, and she don't have to listen to it. So that's why it's not even a problem that comes up on our radar. The only time that something that I say may bother her is if she starts overthinking and start thinking, well, if you said that about this person in that situation, and then I look at this over here and then that over there, and then does that are you saying that are you saying that about me? I'm like, no, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about that chick over there that did this, that, this, and that. Do you do this, that, this, and that? Okay, well then I wasn't talking about you. Unless you do that, then I might have been talking. Was I talking about you? That's
Right.
We have conversations like that, like, you know. So, but overall, no, she's not bothered by what I do.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, the what comes to mind is, you know, I wouldn't be with you if I had that sort of problem with you. And
yeah.
Why are we making a problem where there is no problem? You know, there is no problem. There is no issue. So let's not make an issue out of something that's not an issue.
Yeah.
You know, speaking of issues in the manosphere, recently there's been this sort of a bit of a back and forth between Ramil and Kevin, in particular related to dress code. And it's interesting. I think there is some misunderstanding of what Kevin's position is, and so there's some conflating of some issues. But I thought that it was a good sort of polarity, and so, you know, I've got a panel show with Ike called Case Closed, and it's a 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time show on Sundays. And it goes back and forth between his channel and my channel. It was on my channel yesterday, and we did a show that was basically, what was it called? You know, the suit won't fix the black male image. You know, wearing a suit won't fix, you know, black male image. And we had the real Dana on there. She was one of the panelists. Towards the end of that show, Game Changer came up also, and there was some back and forth between Game Changer and Dana, which was pretty entertaining.
I think I saw a little bit of that.
Get ready to rumble.
I think I saw a little bit of that, but I was busy. But yeah, I think I saw some of that.
Yeah, and but anyhow, it was a good conversation. Now, I admitted on the show that I am not. I mean, you see what I wear in a lot of my conversations. I mean, I'm wearing a t-shirt or maybe a button shirt or something like that, but wearing a suit is not really that's not really what I want to do. I wear a suit a lot because I perform. You know, I'm a professional musician, so I'm playing gigs and stuff, and so I'll wear a suit for that. But I'm not necessarily wearing a suit for, you know, academic stuff. You know, I'm a professor. And though there is the sort of cliche professor attire, you know, this sort of tweed jacket with the elbow patches, you know, this kind of thing.
I like those. I like the elbow patches. I actually like. I got a suit, a blazer over there with well, you can't see, but I got a blazer over there. That's it's like a gold or like a brown blazer with like it's like light brown, but then it got the dark brown patches. You know, I like that. I like that.
Yeah. So I mean, so there is these sort of cliche attire, but there is no actual dress code in the academy, and it's actually one of the reasons why I like the academy. I gravitated towards the academy. It seems to be more about sort of substance. What is the research? What is the what's the quality of the teaching? What's the, you know, that kind of thing, over sort of things that seem to be just focused on image, right? So, you know, a lot of, I think also one issue is, I think older folks, older generations, I think they had a particular view of what a suit was supposed to be for. And the necessity of wearing it in certain settings, and younger folks have sort of gone away from that. And so even in the same sort of business kind of situation, the tendency is not going to be for them to wear a suit. Now, maybe they'll still wear like something kind of business casual, or they'll still look nice. They're clean, you know. They they took a shower, they brushed their teeth, they're well groomed, their shirt is not wrinkled. So, but it's just a different sort of thing. What do you think about this issue of dress code with respect to I don't know, maybe aspects of professionalism, or I don't know, the sort of image that obviously black men, we have a problem with our image. Do you think that more brothers wearing suits or being focused on that aspect of their self is going to help with that?
Well, right there, if you look behind me, it's Jason Whitlock playing behind. Damn, shoot, I made a mistake and paused it. I wasn't trying to do that. There it is. It's playing. Yeah, Jason Whitlock was on behind me, doing his show in a suit.
I like Whitlock.
Yeah, me too. He isn't working for ESPN or anybody anymore. He's set out on his own, doing his own show. Has a real nice look, professional setup, and the suit is what he wanted to go with. Apparently, I mean, he could have put on anything. He chose to wear a suit, and it suits him. So overall, that's what I say. To be as because I don't have a whole lot to say about this, but in general, if a suit suits you, then wear a suit. But overall, the black male image and everything, yes, image matters. A suit is one way to improve an image. It's not the only way, so it shouldn't be used as a requirement. People who wear suits, they don't have to lord it over other people that they wear a suit and you don't wear a suit. Like that's stupid. I don't get that. And with that being said, I still will wear a suit, or bare minimum just a blazer, a sport coat, a jacket on my show. I still will do that. But all these and I'm talking about the Manosphere at this point. All the suit wars that's going on here is just it's ridiculous on both sides. On both sides. But I do think the suit wearing side, I'm not 100% sure. I think the suit wearing side did cast the first stone in that war, but at the end of the day, the war is stupid. It was pointless, and it still is pointless, and it's ridiculous. But overall, taking it outside of the Manosphere, times have changed. Times have changed, and so it really comes down to what are you doing, what's happening in your life, what do you do for a living, where do you work, do you have a corporate job that requires a suit? If it does, then you should wear a suit. If it doesn't require a suit, you shouldn't wear a suit. If you work at a place where your particular job doesn't require a suit, but there's people higher up than you that wear suits, if you're trying to get where they're going, it might be advantageous for you to wear a suit. So you just have to make that call. And so I understand the argument, the whole thing, dress for the job you want, not for the job you got. And if there are certain things that people, the next level up do that you're not doing, maybe you should start doing it. And if it's pushback from black men saying that, no, I don't want to wear a suit, I don't want to do this, I don't want to do that, but they're in that particular field where suits are worn, because even though I don't work in those fields, okay, but I know when I get off the air, and I say I go stop at a restaurant, and go sit at the bar and order something to eat and have a drink, I do something like that, there are men who just got off work as well who have on suits. So there are occupations where people still wear suits. They exist. I'm assuming that there are people who work at the same place as those guys with those suits that are underneath them, that the suit isn't required. I'm just simply saying that maybe they should consider it if it will help them. But overall, I hate that I even gave it this many words. I wanted to give you my shortest answer. I had a feeling you were going to ask me something about suits. And I told myself coming in, when he asked me about suits, I'm going to give him the shortest. That's going to be my shortest answer. Where I said, Dr. Thunder is going to feel slighted, like I didn't answer his question, because I was just going to breeze by that one, because I honestly don't care. I was a blue collar worker most of my life. I didn't wear suits. The only thing I did wear is like a blazer every now and then, because Kanye West came out in about 2004, and you know, and I was married and going to church around that time. And yeah, sometimes I would go to church fully buttoned up, suit and tie and all, but I like the idea that, you know, I could rock some jeans and a button up and just throw a blazer over it because Kanye West made it cool. So I've always dressed like that. Even when it got a little outdated, I still kind of would do that from time to time. So I still do that. And on my show, that's truthfully how I'm dressed a lot of the time. Some people may think I got on a full suit. No, I just got on a button up, some jeans, some casual shoes or boots, not Chelsea boots, but some boots. That's a joke. If you watch Angry Man, you know, you they made a big deal about Kevin Samuels wearing Chelsea boots. I don't even know what Chelsea boots are, but but anyway, I'll wear like some casual shoes or some casual boots, some nice pair of crisp jeans, a button up, and a blazer. Like that's a good look for me. I like that look. But overall, that's just me, you know. I almost forgetting the larger point I was trying to make. Yeah, my point my point is losing me. But I generally that was how I dressed in this whole thing that's going on, this whole debate about suits. I can care less. It's the most pointless thing ever. I have no dog in the fight. However, I'm lumped in with the people in the manosphere who wear the suits and don't just wear them, but want to argue with people about suits. And I'm like, I don't care. Like, I seriously do not care. I meant to give you a short answer, but I failed at it. But I said I really don't.
It's all right, man.
I really don't care
right.
when it comes to this whole suit thing. I don't.
You
Because
know,
I was, like I said, I was a blue collar guy most of my life. That's what I was about to say. When I started my show, I resorted back to, you know, what I used to wear, you know, when I would like dress up, you know, go to church or some outing that was casual or formal. But then sometimes I was still like regularly still wear the blazer and the jeans. But when I started my show, I wanted my show to just have a nice kind of look to it. This was before Kevin Samuels even blew up. I was saying to myself that, yeah, I would like to, you know, have a certain professional look to my show and interview people in and around the manosphere, and you know, and try to make it professional. I'm just getting to the point where I got the good, crisp, professional look. And I got that's a nice kind of a news desk. So I always wanted that look, even though I don't sit at the desk no more for reasons that I'm not going to explain. I wanted to be able to put on a certain show, nice, crisp, clean look, maybe some on-screen graphics, interview people, dress up, wear a suit, make it have a professional look, feel, and vibe to it. Sort of like what I was talking about with Jason Whitlock when he was behind me. That was what I wanted to go for. But right around the time when I got to the point where I was on camera and everything, that was right around the time Kevin Samuels started blowing up, and then I found myself in these Manosphere suit wars that I didn't want no part of. I wanted no dog in that fight. And so that's why this whole suit conversation can give me a headache sometimes. But anyway.
So one thing that's interesting is in my own branding, you know, my little logo that's I think it's pretty recognizable now. It's blue, you know, blue's my color, but I'm wearing a suit. I'm wearing a suit in that logo, right? I don't have a tie on or anything because I hate ties.
Right. I don't like them either.
But I have a suit on. But it's interesting because most of my content, unless I'm playing, you know, unless it's like I'm playing a concert or something, or I'm live streaming one of my gigs, but most of my content is like this, and I'm not wearing a suit. It's because that's never really been a thing for me. I've only used the clothing as a sort of uniform. You know, you wear what you wear. You know, you kind of try to dress the way that everyone else is dressing. You know, if that kind of thing. That's always been my sort of approach to that. Now, so okay. So one thing that we sort of ended that stream with was, you know, Dana kind of gave her final thoughts, and she was saying, you know, it's basically all about, you know, what you do, you know, not necessarily how you dress. As far as, you know, improving the black male image like this, and if you do the right things, then eventually the image is going to repair itself. And to which I said,
I agree with that, actually. But go ahead. I'll let you set it up.
Yeah. And I said that I agree with that also, with one caveat. It's not going to be automatic, because there's a lot of money to be made representing us in a particular way. Hollywood has made themselves quite wealthy representing us as thugs and, you know, violent, you know, as, you know, all of this kind of negative stuff. And the way that the news covers stories, I mean, if you remember what was it, the reality show Cops, and just the way that we frequently get represented, you know, and disproportionately get represented that way. So it's not as though that if we just make all the right decisions, that automatically that's going to fix the image. It's going to take doing that for a long time, and I think kicking and screaming. I think that Hollywood maybe will stop presenting us in a certain way, but it would take a long time, I think, before that happened. So the Supreme Court nomination, this recent Supreme Court nomination, Ketanji Brown Jackson. Do you have any thoughts about that particular nomination? Do you think that it potentially can be a positive thing for the black community? What are your thoughts?
Well, I kind of talked about it a little bit. Haven't done any exclusive content on it. Me and Hood Servative, we did a stream where we did end up talking about it. And as far as the question you asked is a question, do I think it could be positive for the black community? I don't know how it could be positive for the black community. I tend to believe that she's going to vote on the Supreme Court like I don't know if to say a standard liberal Democrat would, but that's more or less what I tend to believe. So and I don't think everything that the Democrats vote for is positive for the black community. So to ask me, do I think that could be positive for the black community? But there's a issue. There's a factor of that, you know, the things that we look at that are kind of irrelevant, you know, representation. Yes, okay, a black woman is represented on the Supreme Court. Then you look at what a black female Democrats tend to vote for. Is it anything that truly benefits the black community? Is it anything that truly benefits black men? Is my position that you need the men doing better, and the men do better, everybody does better. You empower men will take care of women and children. You empower women, they get empowered with everything they need to be, you know, independent of men, and thus the black community is, you know, separation where women over here, men over there. That's how I feel about Democrats in general. When I say men over here, women over there, it's the women are over there with the children, and so that creates the whole problem. That creates a large amount of the problems that ultimately lead us here in this space, lead us here to this
Yeah,
space.
well, well, you know, this talk about the so-called black family. You know, when you hear Democrats talking about the black family, they're not talking about men. They're talking about women and children.
Yeah.
I would argue a step further than that. I would argue that it's not just that they're talking about women and children. They're actually not even talking about the sons. They're talking about women and daughters, because the sons will become men.
That's a tough one to swallow, but it's some truth in that, because it's truth in that for this reason. And I actually heard this conversation play out where someone was saying that it was a black woman, and she was saying, I don't care nothing about black men. I'm like done with them. I'm through. She basically was just saying, I don't care nothing about black men. I care about black women and black children. And then someone asked the perfect question, well, how does that work? If you care about black children, that means you care about black boys. So do you care about them until they're 17 and 364 days, and then when they turn 17 and 365 days, done? Don't care about them no more? Like where does the care stop? Where do you is when they turn 16 and old enough to drive, or where do you draw the line where you care about black women and black children, but when does that boy get when do he get cut off from your caring about him? So that's why there's some truth in what you said, but that is a tough pill to swallow. But the easier pill to swallow, which is still one you don't want to swallow, but it is that when a lot of times when they're talking about the black family, yeah, they are talking about women and children, and most of the things that the Democrats roll out, that black women in political position, that most, if you look at what they vote for, what they push for, a lot of it is things that are going to benefit single black women and children. It's like they want to do everything to make being a single mother easier. There was a time when being a single mother was extremely hard, and so it was, if you don't incentivize it, you don't make it easier, you don't fund it more. If you fund it more and incentivize it more, you're going to have more of it. You defund it and de-incentivize it, then you're going to have less of it. So from my perspective with Democrats, that's more of what they're going to do now. Not that the Republicans are, doing a good job countering it, but at least we know what party is actually fighting for it. We know what party is running on it. So that's so that's where I'm at. So when you ask me about the Supreme Court selection, I just throw it all into that ball of wax. It's really more of the same, but hey, whatever.
Yeah, we did a show on Case Closed about that nomination, and I tell people this, and I did a live stream earlier today. What was it called? It was called "Eat the Meat and Spit Out the Bone." But one thing that I said is, look, most folks. Well, I'm not going to say most folks. I'm going to say that people that try to portray themselves as being impartial, balanced, fair and balanced. Fair and balanced is like it's a marketing strategy for, I'm trying to take in information from different sides, and I discuss things from different perspectives. That's what that sort of fair and balanced thing. But in actuality, there is no such thing as fair and balanced coming from a human being, right? That's any human being. That's you, me, anybody, right? Mm-hmm. So this is one of the reasons why you need other people. We need community. We need other folks to bounce ideas off of, to show where our weak spots are, where our blind spots are, right? But what I do is I don't try to convince people that I'm fair and balanced, that I'm, you know, impartial. I tell people what dog that I have in the fight. My advocacy is specifically for black men and boys. So now you understand, you know, where I'm gonna land on particular issues, and I don't have to spend any time, you know, giving you a backstory. You already know what it is.
Yeah.
As opposed to someone that tries to act like, oh, you know, I listen to everything and I'm balanced on X, Y, and Z. I don't trust that. If
Right.
somebody's trying to do that, they're trying to pull a fast one on you.
Mm-hmm.
And so, in a lot of political office, you know, you have folks trying to act like they see things from different perspectives, and they totally do not. They totally are in the tank for certain issues. And I would say that this is no different. This nomination is no different. You have to look at why Jim Crow Joe is nominating this. I know you like that. Why Jim Crow Joe is nominating this woman. And Jason Black brought up something I thought it was interesting, is that 4 of the 6 potentials, they were all black women. 4 of them were married to white men.
Mm-hmm.
Now, given the usual percentage of black women marrying out, it's a very low percentage. It's something like 1%, maybe 2% now with all the swirling these days.
It's actually it's higher than that, but it's still fairly low. But it's higher than they got it up higher than 2%.
Right. Well, I mean, I've heard numbers as high as 5%. But even with 5%, if you look at the fact that 4 of the 6 were married to white men, that seems to me to be saying something. I don't believe in coincidences.
Yeah.
You know. So that just tells me something about what it is that they're trying to do. Yeah. So anyhow, let's see here. So okay, so one thing I wanted to ask you about is, has this sort of red pill and black manosphere stuff, has it caused you any social issues? Like in your personal life, have you had maybe opportunities that you lost? I mean, we just saw this thing that happened to MTR.
Right.
But have you in your personal life, I mean, maybe with family members, maybe with people that were have been friends of yours for years, and then they tuned into your program and now they're like, what is this guy talking about, distancing themselves from you and all that kind of stuff? Is any of that kind of stuff going down?
No. It's kind of a funny story. Funny you should ask that, because, well, when I started going live on YouTube, my thing was I didn't want to tell any family and friends that I was doing it. That's what I said, that I was not going to tell any of them that I was doing it. However, if they found it by accident, then that's how I knew it was a success. I had a hard time telling them at the early stages when, you know, it was small, and, you know, I just kind of, for whatever reason, I'm not even going to get into the reasons, but that was just a little thing in my mind that I know if family and friends find it by accident, I know it's a success. So I didn't want to tell anybody for that reason right there. Now, it just so happened to be the case that they've all found it now. There's you know, so now everybody knows, everybody's seen it, and at a recent family gathering, everybody was completely supportive, you know. So that was cool. I knew my brother would be, because, you know, me and him, we had kind of talked. That was the hardest thing, not telling him. That was the hardest thing, because me and him, you know, we would be having a lot of these conversations anyway. So it was hard to not tell him. But I was like, nope, I'm gonna let him find it on his own. And he did end up eventually, I mean, he had no idea I was doing it, but he did eventually find it on his own. And so my mother's birthday was last month, and that was the first time that everybody was there. And then so my YouTube channel was a periodic discussion that came up, but everybody, people with all different views and ideologies, they were very supportive. They were. I mean, I'm not going to say I was shocked about that, but I know that there are some things that may be bothersome, because I know some people may have certain views and perspectives or ideologies and things that I'm saying. I know, like when me and Hood Conservative get together, we will pick apart. See, like, okay, when I always talk about the victim narrative with Black people and blaming everything on racism, like that's pervasive, like that's ubiquitous all throughout the Black community.
Yep.
And I don't buy that. I don't get down with none of that. And I would hear family members say things and I'm just like, what? But I didn't, I didn't drive the point home or go hard about it. But I'll give some pushback. But at the end of the day, I was like, whatever. They can think what they want to think. That people can believe what they want to believe. But now that they're like probably binge watching all my content now, they know they're they're non-negotiably getting my opinion and perspective on things that they didn't even know that I probably knew that much about. So who knows what they're thinking. But overall, when they all found out about it, they were very happy. They were proud of me. So that was my overall general reaction. I do have the advantage because I don't I don't work a regular job. I haven't received a check from somebody else since late 2019 was the last time I received a check from somebody. Well, I was getting some unemployment checks. I was getting unemployment checks, and then I was on unemployment when I started going live on YouTube. It's a funny story. I was on unemployment, started going live on YouTube, and then the whole thing with the the Rona happened, and then I ended up getting those those they did that big increase to unemployment, and I was like, okay, I'll take it. So I was getting that money. So that technically counts as money that was coming from somewhere else. But by about maybe April or May, I would say April. I don't know the exact date, but when I just stopped calling unemployment, basically, because I was legitimately on unemployment, and right around that time, I was starting 2 different businesses. That's something that you can legally do, be on unemployment and and try to start a business. So I had 2 different businesses going that I was getting off the ground. Once I got to the point where I started making money, I quit calling unemployment. So sometime early 2020, that's my long-winded way of saying sometime early 2020 was the last time I received a check from somewhere else, an unemployment check from the government.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm saying all that to say that I really can't be canceled. I mean, YouTube can just pull the plug on my channel, but like there's no job that I go to that can say, hey Bernard, we saw some of the things you said on YouTube and we find it offensive and damaging to the company brand and blah blah blah. Nobody can say that to me because I don't work for nobody else. So in that sense, I can't suffer any penalties from there. The only thing I can possibly have is a family member being mad at me for something that I said on the internet, and thus far nobody's been mad at me about that, and so I'm a-okay when I'm good when it comes to that.
Yeah, I mean, I've told folks, I don't have FU money, but I have FU tenure.
Yeah.
And so, one of the purposes of tenure in academia is to protect faculty members, protect them so that they can pursue their research without fear of reprisal, a fear of being blackballed, or fear of losing their job because they've taken on a different position. So, say for instance, if you have the flat Earth. Say you're a scientist, and say everyone is flat Earth. They believe in a flat Earth for some reason in 2022.
Right. Right.
Say the whole faculty is all flat Earth, but say you've discovered this approach to measure the curvature of the planet based on the angle of the sun or something, and so you start to postulate that I don't think the Earth is flat. I think it's spherical, right? So without tenure, they could say, you know what, get this clown out of here. We want another flat Earth cat in here. So they go get them another flat Earth guy. But because of tenure, they have to deal with this spherical Earth foolishness, you know?
Yeah.
And that's what, what's supposed to happen is you're supposed to be able to say things that are controversial, take political positions that folks may not care for. And so that's the benefit when they tried to out me in Elle magazine. It's like, first of all, my information was already known as a matter of public record. I work for a big state university, one of the biggest in the country. So I mean, that ain't hard. But secondly, I mean, I'm here for the smoke. So come get me if you think you can.
Yeah.
And the thing is like the stuff that I say, I'm not a shock jock. I'm not saying, a bunch of, I don't have like, naked women on my show and stuff. And, I'm not talking inappropriately about X, Y, and Z. I'm a Christian guy, right? I work at a church. So what do you think I mean, but for whatever reason, just for saying stuff that used to just be called common sense, people think they want to, they have a reason to try to come and cancel you, like they're protecting society from you or something.
Yeah.
It's like, really?
Yeah. It's crazy. That's crazy.
So there's been a lot of talk about Kevin Samuels. Kevin has been such an important figure in space, and I think because of his conversation, the conversation that he started, I think that even people that don't even know who Kevin is, I think they're being influenced if they're in the dating market at all. So that's an interesting feature. Do you think that Kevin has hit his glass ceiling? Do you think he's pretty much gotten as big as he's going to get?
That's a tough one. I just want to say that I predicted, not that it matters because I'm not going to go through the process of ever proving it, but when he was getting a regular 30,000 live views, and people were saying, will he ever fall off? I was saying, no, he won't exactly fall off. He just will simmer down to getting a regular, instead of getting a regular 25 to 30,000 live views, he will, start getting a, 10 to 15,000,
I thought that it was a spike too. Yeah.
Yeah. So that would be, I knew that would be his fall off point. And even if you look at the growth of his channel, it's not growing super fast right now. So, I don't know if it's kind of tough to say. I'll say this. I think it's very possible that he could get another bump or boost, or something can happen where he starts back, clearing that 20,000 mark, but he'll have to change some things up. And far be it for me to tell him what he would have to change. I'm not talking about changing up anything that he's saying. I'm just simply saying that I think he's almost 2 years in almost 2 years in now with this format that he's doing, and he has to figure out the next way to present it. And I have my ideas. It's like I'm very obtuse about it because I have my own little ideas of things that I think he should do, but I don't want to just be throwing stuff out there like that, because it's kind of, my idea could be stupid. So so far be it from me with 9,000 subs to tell a man with 1.9 million, 1.3 million, what he should do next. So that's why I'm fumbling over my words here, because I don't even want to throw out the next, what I think he should do. But he still has momentum. If you can go live and get 10 to 15,000 people in there, you got momentum still, So if he could, he's posting pre-recorded conversations he had with some women. I barely watched them. I look up and he could just drop a 15-minute clip of anything and it can get 200K views. Like he's killing it by every measurable standard other than the standard that he was at when he was getting 30,000 live views. So it's kind of tough to say what's going to happen next, where he's going to take it next, what he's going to do next. But one unfortunate thing, if he doesn't do something, I don't know, if he doesn't do something big, or if something big doesn't happen, or a next big moment, I don't know. I don't know what has to happen, but if he doesn't do anything, that regular 10 to 15K could turn into a regular 5 to 10K. And then at that point, he's coming, the satellite has gotten closer to Earth at that point, So, so yeah, he has to figure out some way to either maintain what he got going or get back up there. But you can't say that the momentum is gone, because he got a good subject, a good topic, some good calls coming in. You could still see $14,000 to $15,000. For 14 to 15,000 people on the board on the live stream too. So he's killing it, and it ain't going nowhere no time soon. Even though seemingly a lot of people would like to see it go somewhere.
So here's my last question. But before I ask you my last question, let me know if you want me to reciprocate. Come on over to your platform. Always enjoy. Enjoy.
Oh, absolutely. And I wanna come on an episode of Case Closed when y'all do that. Whether y'all do it on your channel or Ike's channel, I would like to appear on a Case Closed or two.
Sure. We'll have you for sure, man. That's a done deal.
All right.
That's a done deal. What issues do you have with the Black Manosphere? If you could boil it down to maybe 2 or 3 issues in particular, and it's kind of a broad question, but you probably have something that's come to mind already.
Yeah, I actually have a lot of issues with it. And I have issues with it right now, to the point to where I've been telling myself that I'm going to stay out of Manosphere politics, and by staying out of Manosphere politics, I mean not talking about the Manosphere, still doing Manosphere content, but not talking about what's going on in the Manosphere and what's other people doing on their channels, and what this person said, and how this person did a stream about this or a stream about that person, and that person responded, and what's my opinion on that? What's my opinion on this back and forth, or what this person is? I said I'm going to stay out of that. And it's so funny. I know for a fact Angry Man has tried to do that at times, and he's failed at it. And I know why he failed at it, because it's very difficult. It's very difficult to just say, all right, I'm going to have my topic. I'm going to come in. I'm going to do my content. I'm going to present it. Let's say if I got an interview, I'm going to bring somebody in. I'm going to interview them. We're going to talk about the subjects and go back and forth and talk, and then just call it a day and get off the air. Or bring somebody up and do a panel, and the panel can come up and talk about the topic, and then we get off the air. Inevitably, and I got to blame Obsidian for this, I end up getting dragged back into the manosphere politics, or I can blame my chat room and the super chatters, because they will super chat me something about, okay, now I gotta. So I found out that it's impossible. I understand why Angry Man didn't succeed at it the many times he tried to. Just say, I'm not saying nobody's name. I'm not talking about nobody. I'm focusing strictly on my content, and that's it. I understand why he failed at it, because it's difficult. It's difficult. The chat room, they're going to drag you back in. Or if you're like me and you do panels, the panel is going to drag you back in. So I just want to preface that by saying it's extremely difficult to stay out of the manosphere goings on and manosphere politics and all of that. So so this is me failing again by answering your question. So so what's going on in the manosphere right now? It's shout out to AM1. I didn't watch the whole stream. I just clicked on it and skipped to the middle, and I skipped right to the part of on the stream where the stream was called I'm Out, meaning I'm out of the manosphere, but I skipped right to the part where he said, when I say, I'm paraphrasing him, when he said he's out, it didn't really mean anything, because it's nothing to be out of. He described the manosphere at this point as a house with no walls. You don't even got to announce that you're leaving or that you're coming, because it's just all over the place right now. It's all over the place. It's like there's people with actual content strategies of trying to refute the manosphere. That's a content strategy. And these people are in the manosphere. It's like you get more views, and I'm not talking about my views. Take me out of the equation. Just looking at the views in the space, you get more views at going after another person, another man in the manosphere, than what you get views going after a feminist or someone who's a part of the gynocracy, or somebody who's part of the sisterhood. You go after them, yeah, you get some views. You pick apart their nonsense, you get some views. But if you go after another man in the manosphere, yeah, that's it right there. It's like the audience just want the blood, and they don't care whose blood at this point. they just want the blood, and it sells. And keep in mind, I'm not knocking anybody for doing what they're doing. I congratulate winners however they win. I mean, even if they win, and if they win in a way that I wouldn't try to win that way, but at the end of the day, they won. It's a dog eat dog competitive world out there. So it is what it is. It is what it is. But it's disheartening when you think about the simple fact that this space was built on men airing their grievances and their critiques of what women have done, either on a micro level in your personal life, or just from a sociological perspective, on a macro scale, what women do. That's what this space was created for: men to come and have their complaints, critiques, grievances, or just give their thoughts, just speak their mind on it. That's what it was for. But a lot of times in this space now, with some people, if they come if they do that, and I don't even know if you really have paid attention to this, but it's people who criticize other men for I'm trying not to get into it. Put it like this: it's to the point where, and I've seen this play out on my channel when I'm doing a reaction video. I'm doing a reaction video to a feminist, and I know I'm thoroughly, brutally picking her apart and defeating all her bad arguments. And I see an army of people in the chat room telling me that I'm trying to, this new thing, that I'm trying to shame, blame, and explain. Have you heard that?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm told now I'm trying to shame, blame, and explain. So I'm getting my wrist smacked for critiquing and criticizing women. But guys, they go after men in the spaces. Yeah, get them. Go after women? No. I'm sitting there looking at that like, if some blue pill pandering simps wanted to create a strategy to undercut or undermine the message of this space and blow it up from within, that would be their exact strategy. Figure out a way to make it unfashionable to criticize women, but okay to criticize Manosphere talking points, or okay to criticize Manosphere content creators. But when you do it to the women, nuh-uh, you're trying to shame, blame, and explain. It's like, I know there are detractors of this space who we've defeated years ago, sitting back there stroking their beard like, damn, why didn't we think of that? Like, because it's perfect.
Yeah,
it's a perfect strategy.
That shame, blame, and explain thing, that sounds like mansplaining. That sounds like it's like the same idea. Mansplaining, that whole pejorative.
Well, if women would have came up with it, I would have understood it. If women would have came up and said, stop trying to shame, blame, and explain to us, I would have been like, I would have said, okay, and so what? And would have continued doing my content. But I would have at least understood if the sisterhood would have came up with that. I would have understood. Right. But it's crazy. And listen, I hate that I even said this much, but overall, listen, the market chooses. At the end of the day, the market chooses, and I'm not tripping on that. My channel is going to be what my channel is, and I don't care. That's why I said I want to stay out of the Manosphere politics, because I don't care what other people are doing. I'm going to do what I've built my channel on, and that's so I'm going to continue to do that. And so I'm not worried or concerned. But if you ask me just what problems do I have with the Manosphere, it's just the sheer anarchy of the thing that this space was built on. There are people who saying that that's problematic, you can't do that. Then the thing that going after other men in this space and criticizing other men in this space and criticizing Manosphere talking points, even though, I mean, some of them can use a little, can use a finer tooth comb ran through them. And there are some people that may say some things that this particular creator fundamentally disagrees with, even though they agree with on 80 to 90% of everything. It could be some 10% that they're completely against. Like when it comes to marriage, I get some guys are completely against that. When it comes to long-term relationships, I get some guys are completely against that. And I understand why. I did a stream. I mean, that clip I played earlier on my show, highlighted my understanding of why some people don't want to ever get married or don't want to ever be in a long-term relationship, don't ever want to have children. They got reason not to. So I get it. I get it. But the cannibalizing, hell no, I can't go with that. That's overall problematic for the space, and that puts the space in an awkward place going forward. It really does. It really does. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah, it's interesting because I don't pay attention to that stuff very much either. There's certain kind of content I'm just not interested in. So I don't really, that stuff doesn't affect me. And the other thing is that I'm not, so how can I say this? Even in my professional life, and even like playing concerts and stuff or playing gigs and stuff, I'm always in and out. Like I get in, I do what I need to do, then I get out.
Yeah.
And then and that just keeps it neat and clean, and I don't have to mess with any of the other stuff. However, with your platform, because of the amount of panel shows that you do, and because your platform is such an important platform in the space, I mean, you're kind of the daytime show in the space. So because of that, I can see how that can kind of pull and and that you would be affected by that. But regardless, I always dig your shows, and like I said, you always have lively discussion on important topics, It's a good balance of, I think, stuff that's actually constructive and helpful for men, and then also opportunities for men to vent and to get some of that poison out, as it were.
Thank you once again, and we got to do it again, and I'll get you on my show. And like I said, give me the call for case closed. I do want to participate in that. So
that'd be great, man.
Yep.
All right.
Thank you.
Peace.
All right. Peace.